Yesterday, we told you about the community planning experts from the American Planning Association who arrived in Belize to assist the Belize City Council in making improvements to the part of the city known as Yabra. The head of the delegation is Justin Moore, a professional who works with the New York City Department of City Planning. Today, Mayor Darrell Bradley was on the ground with the team touring the area to come up with the best strategy to revitalize a part of the city which played an important part in its history, but has been forgotten in the present. Daniel Ortiz reports.
Belize City Mayor Darrell Bradley, his technical staff at the City Council, and the consultants from the American Planning Association spent most of the morning touring the city. They then moved into the Yarborough area to survey important aspects of the open space, such as the football field, the basketball court, and the next door Wesley College compound. The mayor then hosted his consulting guests on a boat tour of the Yarborough waterfront to get a distant perspective of the coastline that the area known as Yabra occupies. The working plan right now is to transform this community to preserve its cultural and historical elements.
This area has several very renowned churches in Belize. You have the Anglican Cathedral, you have the Methodist Church, who is very, very active, including with Wesley College. You have a lot of schools in this community. You have an organic level of businesses within the community. You have MAPE, who is very, very involved in community kind of projects and so forth. So that when you look at an area for intervention, you want to ensure that there is a vibrant community and artifacts that you want to maintain and preserve. Our main focus would be to increase the historic character of this area. I think that the area itself has a lot of natural treasures and artifacts in terms of telling the story of Belize City. But I think that it's oftentimes overlooked. I mean, I grew up near to here, and I look at Yarborough Cemetery as being a place that I always regarded with some degree of reverence. And I think that we can bring back the Yarborough area, including the cemetery, and making it really like a focal point. I mean, when you're walking through the cemetery, at the end of the cemetery, you have a play yard. Beyond from that, you have the St. John's Cathedral. Right next to that, you have the House of Culture, and you have a cemetery right beyond the bridge by East and West College Canal, where we looked at as well with the crypts. And actually, when I went there, I didn't even know that that was a cemetery. And these are things. I'm the mayor of the city. I've grown up in the city, and I don't know the significance of particular areas. And I think that if we can make really the cemetery the focal point.
The purpose of a project like this for City Hall is to organize Belize City into zones so that they can stop haphazard growth, which becomes problematic in the future.
The genesis of all of this is that we as a city have over the last 2 years been really focused a lot on urban planning. And I think when you look at Belize City, and when I look at Belize City, I see that the Northern Highway would be a business district. So that would support businesses like banks and insurance companies and large stores, because you have the roadway there, the networks, and then you have parking. So that it's easily conducive to that kind of venture. And then you look at areas like these in terms of the downtown and Fort George and Albert, which would be more the historic districts, the tourism and entertainment areas for the city. And then what you would do is that you would develop Belize City around economic cluster zones, like a commercial district or like a historic and an entertainment zone. And then, of course, you're incorporating economic activity, small businesses, and then concerns from residents, and you can zone the city properly from that.
The administrators of City Hall are hoping that Yabra residents will come out and actively participate in the transformation of their living space.
The people from the American Planning Association are meeting with groups in the area, students, they're meeting with members of the various churches, they're meeting with business persons, they're meeting with individual residents who've asked us to, given us permission to come into their homes and to talk with them, and as well they're looking at the physical site itself. So that a major part of the project has to be the level of community participation and community engagement. It's an area where we would want to have this intervention because we believe that it is ideal for an intervention, but that has to be something that the community welcomes and will support for purposes of ensuring that there is sustainability to the project.
Reporting for 7 News, Daniel Ortiz.
And while Yabra has been singled out for special attention, the truth is the city has been growing in a disorderly fashion for decades without any plan or zoning considerations. Viewers may remember the public disagreement that residents of Palm Grove had with the city council 2 years ago when they learned that an apartment complex was approved for construction in their community. Well, despite protestations, that complex now towers above the residential area. Then, about a month ago, residents of Kings Park called us to complain about an apartment complex in their area. Today, the mayor told us that these are all instances of an ad hoc attempt at zoning, and so the council has decided to go all in on this policy, but in consultation with the city residents.
We are dealing with zoning in relation to, and how we've dealt with it is like in an ad hoc way. For example, recently I've had issues with residents in the Caribbean Shores area who want a particular part of the area zoned. We recently dealt with zoning last year with the Palm Groves estate that was recently completed. We had zoning issues with Bella Vista. We've had the experience under Carlos Perdomo, the Honorable Carlos Perdomo, as he then was, in terms of the Landiver area. So that zoning has really been an area that has been looked at in an ad hoc way. But when you see all these issues coming to a head, it really means that the city, together with the central government partners, need to take it the bull by the horn, and we need to really lead the development of Belize City as opposed to like following up. Because if I'm investing in a particular area, I want to know the land use policy in that area for the next 30 years. I have met with several members of the community. We've looked at the draft in terms of the zoning regulations. We're having a public meeting tomorrow evening so that we will disclose the draft. We will allow a comment period for people to either voice their concern there at the meeting or to respond in writing after the meeting so that they could, if they want to take it to their lawyer, if they want to look at it, whatever they want to do, because we want this to be something, and zoning has to be something that is organic and comes from the community, but that you do need leadership in urban planning and in zoning. And this is, I think, a responsible way.
The City Council is inviting the residents of Kings Park out to a public meeting to be held tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the Lopez Mateos Park, where they can make their views heard. But roll